past year, the trend of that girl has really taken off on social media. That girl is characterized as an archetype of holistic wellness who wakes up early, practices yoga or meditation, eats a healthy breakfast, makes her bed, journals, and generally makes healthy decisions for her physical and mental health. Now, what's the problem with this, you might ask? Well, the problem is that this trend has been receiving a considerable amount of backlash from content creators and consumers alike who claim that that girl promotes unrealistic standards and makes other women feel bad who cannot follow the same lifestyle due to issues such as socioeconomic status, physical or mental health issues, or other circumstances that just make this lifestyle difficult to achieve for them. Hi, I'm Anna. I'm a psychologist in training. On this channel, we talk about real-life applications to psychology, so if that is your type of content, I hope you decide to stay. Today, I'll be talking about why I believe that girl has been unfairly treated in social media and how I believe some of the criticism against that girl happens to be rooted in misogyny. Firstly, I just want to take a look at every component of like the major that girl trends and see, is it from a mental health perspective something that is actually psychologically beneficial for people? I won't be commenting on the physical health aspect because that's not my area of expertise. Obviously, I can Google that there are certain health benefits to the things I'm about to talk about, but that's not really what we're going to be doing today. So starting with getting up early, that seems to be a common thread in these videos. Is getting up early good for you? Yes, basically there have been a few studies that found that getting up earlier is corroborated with a lower risk of things like depression, and people who tend to wake up and go to bed earlier also get longer, better quality of sleep, which as we know affects a whole host of things, including mood, energy, concentration, and so forth. And yes, it's true that 42% of a person's propensity to wake up early is caused by genetics, but that also means that 58% of it is due to lifestyle and the environment. So it is overwhelmingly more within your power to wake up early than it is written in your DNA. Or not overwhelmingly, but just like a little larger. What about making your bed in the morning? While there isn't research specifically looking at whether making your bed in the morning is something that is beneficial for your mental health, there is a good amount of research showing this clear link between having an organized, tidy environment and a more organized mind, improved focus, better goal setting, productivity, and lower levels of stress. Exercising. Of course, exercising is good for you. It improves your mental health by reducing anxiety, depression, negative mood, improves self-esteem, cognitive function, boosts endorphins, which are good for you. It's also been found to alleviate symptoms of low self-esteem and social withdrawal, as well as improve sleep, stress relief, energy and stamina, and mental alertness. So yeah, exercise is good for you. I don't think this is new. Eating healthy, yes, nutritious foods have been found to result in lower mood fluctuations, a happier outlook, lower rates of depression and anxiety, and better concentration as well, whereas unhealthier diets, as in foods that aren't very rich in nutrients, tend to be associated with dementia and stroke, as well as, of course, other medical complications that aren't directly connected to the brain. Vitamin B, which is found in things like leafy greens, lentils, cantaloupes, helps with dopamine production. You may know dopamine as one of the happy neurotransmitters because it's very important for mood. Vitamin D, which is found in things such as mushrooms, which I'm so happy to hear this because I literally eat so many mushrooms on the weekly basis. But anyway, it helps with production of serotonin, which is another one of those mood-related neurotransmitters. A magnesium deficiency. Magnesium can be found in things like dark chocolate, almonds, cashews, spinach, bananas, and beans. Can hurt the bacteria in your gut and therefore cause depression and anxiety-like symptoms as well. Of course, we know like the relationship between the gut and our mood is very connected. We in recent years have discovered this. And fermented foods, so things like sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, kombucha, as well as yogurt, nutritional yeast, are packed with probiotics, which again are good for gut health, which is in turn good for the mood stability as well. So yes, eating healthy has some definite mental health benefits. And as for journaling, I've spoken ad nauseum about how fantastic journaling is on this channel. It's been shown to reduce anxiety, depression, stress, help people cope with their fears and concerns and problems, help them track symptoms, problem solve, identify and resolve negative self-talk, and so forth. So when I heard how violently people were reacting to the that girl trend, and I actually saw what that girl trend is, I was a little bit confused, I'm not gonna lie. And I'll admit that a part of that is my own bias because I do follow a lot of that girl lifestyle habits myself, and it's not something that was really spurred by like an internet trend, but rather just a gradual lifestyle shift that has happened over the course of the past 4 years or so. And of course, like, I'm not completely in line with that girl, and in the past I was absolutely not living healthy whatsoever. I will never understand the appeal of making one's bed in the morning. I can't do it unless I have a reason to. I don't really enjoy yoga, and I struggle to really get the initiative to meditate. But I am concerned with the way the public has been reacting to this trend, because at face value, if you look at the big picture rather than, specific problematic videos within this trend, it's not anything super dangerous or unhealthy that it's promoting. And in order to be fair, I'm going to address a few of the common criticisms that the that girl trend receives. And if I missed any, that means I'm not aware of them, so feel free to educate me on those in the comments. So one criticism is that that girl promotes unrealistic standards for many women who don't have the same privileges as her. Yes, it's true. I agree that that girl has certain privileges, including oftentimes white privilege, class privilege, thin body type, and time on her hands. Like, a lot of these women are young, skinny, white women who don't have like a very time-consuming job. And of course, this lifestyle would be harder and perhaps even unattainable for certain women, like women who have a disability or have kids or are living in poverty, and that would absolutely make those women feel bad about themselves. Another common criticism is that that girl promotes rigidity and compulsive behavior. And so it's true that when you look at a lot of these, they do sort of follow a very strict, rigid routine that for some people who have a propensity for OCD can turn into OCD-like symptoms. And some people see this trend and they just think it's a new version of the same wellness BS that's been fed to us over decades at this point. I agree. I'm sure there are some videos that are a lot more compulsive and rigid and promoting unhealthy habits than others, but from what I've seen, the ones that go viral don't really have that component, and there is also a great deal of variation within this genre. And it also depends on the individual consuming this content, whether it's going to turn into something pathological. It's never like you see something and then suddenly you have a disorder. You see something and you have a genetic predisposition and you have personal traumas and all that stuff. So if your issue with the genre is that some of these videos are pseudoscientific and promote disordered or OCD-like rigidity, then I'm 100% on board with that. I think that type of discourse is very important, needs to be fact-checked and named for what it is. I'm just not sure that it's representative of the whole trend, to be honest. Most of these videos aren't even like what I eat in a days. They're just giving us a glimpse into someone's daily routine that's keeping them physically and mentally well. Another criticism I've heard is that that girl is all about becoming something different from yourself and that is a bad thing. I'll be honest, I don't think this is a very valid criticism, because a lot of mental health interventions are about putting yourself in a mindset that is very different from yours, kind of internalizing an external construct. For example, I've posted videos about like getting into these mindset shifts, like if you're going into a conflict, embodying this warrior energy. Like, obviously I am not a warrior, I'm not a soldier, none of that stuff, but getting into something outside of myself helps me channel parts of myself that otherwise I wouldn't be able to embody as much. I recently made a video about stepping into like this playful, fairy-like energy. If you're someone who is just always working, is that bad that I sometimes want to lean into something that I'm not, that I want to step into a mindset to accentuate a side of myself that usually lies dormant? I would argue not. Likewise, a part of eating disorder treatments, for example, is strengthening your healthy voice over your ED voice. Oftentimes people in ED treatment are so aligned with the ED voice, they see it as a part of themselves, and so it requires a very active attempt to take this healthier image and to project it onto yourself. So no, I don't think that integrating something external from yourself is always a bad thing. And I don't think either of these criticisms are really a valid reason to dunk on that girl, and this is why. If I told you there was this new trend among men where they were getting up early, making their beds, eating healthy, working out, taking care of their mental health, what would you think? I'm guessing you would say, that's great, or not care at the very least. So why is it that when women mobilize themselves to make lifestyle modifications, improve their mental and physical health, it's met with so much criticism and even branded as disempowering to women because it's not something all women can attain? I have to ask, does something have to be attainable or beneficial for all women in order for us to not criticize it? Why is it that when a woman makes a decision that affects her well-being, her actions must benefit the entire female population? Women make decisions every day that are arguably harmful to other women. Having plastic surgery, taking part in dangerous diets, participating in sexually objectifying industries, associating with problematic men. Yet we can recognize that no woman is a perfect feminist and that we're all just trying to do the best that we can to kind of float in a society that wants us to drown. We can't also be worried about keeping every single other woman afloat as well. So when a trend comes around that's actually scientifically shown to be beneficial for people and a group of women are at the forefront of promoting it, suddenly there's all this discourse about how that's not good enough. It's almost like women can't win. We're shamed if we make unhealthy decisions. We're shamed if we make healthy decisions too. And I do have to admit that a lot of this criticism seems to come down to envy for some people. It's true that this lifestyle is not attainable for everyone, but just because someone is doing something you can't, does that make it a bad thing? There are men right this very minute flying on private jets, drinking champagne in St. Tropez, working out with the world's greatest team of personal trainers. Is anyone out there shaming them for it, telling them that they're not being sensitive to other men who can't afford the same things? Of course not, because we see men as individuals and women as representative of their entire group. The underprivileged group will always be hyper aware of the fact that they are given this burden to represent their whole group to society. And hating women comes very naturally even to other women. So when a woman feels a negative emotion in response to a video of, say, that girl, she feels emboldened in being able to say, this is harmful, I don't like it. For example, I don't know if you all remember when like Alexis Ren and Jay Alvarez were together and they were making all these videos of like going to Hawaii, going to LA, surfing, skydiving, having just what seemed like the perfect lifestyle. And then of course later we learned that she had an eating disorder and their relationship was toxic behind the scenes and things were not at all what it seemed behind this facade. But I remember her getting a lot of criticism for the fact that she was thin and traveling the world and just enjoying life with her boyfriend. And meanwhile, her boyfriend had none of the same criticism when he was physically fit and also just traveling the world and enjoying life with his girlfriend. People were saying it's not realistic, it's a facade for her, but not for him. Why is it that men can flaunt their privileges in terms of their body, their lifestyle, etc., but the moment a woman does, she's harmful to all women? And I remember I used to be one of those people. I was a hater because I was envious of her. And I never for a second stopped to think, hold on, like, why am I not envious of him? Why am I giving him the slack to get away with it and directing all my negative emotions towards this woman who's just enjoying her life, has nothing to do with me? Unfortunately, we're all responsible for our own reactions to internet content. If I find myself feeling shame or guilt or envy because someone on the internet has something or that I can't or don't have, that is my responsibility to work through, not the content creators. There will always be someone who has something that you don't, someone who's richer, more successful, more famous, more attractive, more intelligent. If you're gonna get triggered every single time someone has something that you don't, you're going to move through a world as if you have no skin, where everything is painful. I think it's important for us to detach ourselves from social media images that don't serve us, but where do we draw the line between this doesn't serve me and this is actively harmful to people? I would argue there's a big difference between someone just showing us her morning routine where she happens to have an acai bowl or avocado toast or something versus a what I eat in a day where it's very specific and disordered and is being prescribed to everyone else as wellness. On the other hand, there are a lot of people who say this trend is inspiring to them, and I actually have to admit I'm one of those people. When I see these videos, I feel very soothed, very calm, very inspired to incorporate some of that in my day-to-day life. There are people who see these videos and go, wow, that looks really nice. Even though I'm going through a really rough patch right now, maybe this is something I want to try. Maybe this is something that I want to motivate me to get better. And science says that the things they're doing in this particular trend are probably good for you. So do we just completely dismiss the people for whom this trend is helpful just because some people say it makes them feel bad? Clearly, the fact that this trend has gone viral speaks to the fact that it resonates with a lot of people. It's sort of this fantasy that we all want to aspire towards. And I think there's a lot of value in escapism. People love to watch videos of those, like I said, just surfing in Hawaii, eating acai bowls, skydiving for fun. It gives us an opportunity to imagine what it might be like to be in their shoes and how we might get there and escape the dullness and restrictions of day-to-day life. How unrealistic and harmful is it really for a 20-year-old woman to post her morning routine? And yeah, a lot of these could be facades, because anything on the internet that looks too good to be true, just perfect, someone is perfect wellness, perfect health, they're just a picture and beacon of light. Probably not the case. There's probably some side of their life that they're concealing, that behind the scenes, if you knew, you might feel some empathy for them. And I commend people when they come out and they talk about the hardships that they have behind the scenes and the fact that social media isn't representative of reality. But at this point, who actually thinks that social media represents reality? Maybe like teenagers who are vulnerable and haven't had the chance to see firsthand that everyone goes through struggles. But for my generation personally, I think I'm pretty okay with the fact that people are going to put things online that have a happier tone than what's really going on behind the scenes. So I want to know what you think about this topic, if you feel like there's something I missed, or if I was able to bring maybe a new perspective to it, because like I said, I was kind of surprised by the uniform reaction that I was seeing on the That Girl trend. So if you like this content, giving it a like, comment, or share really does go a long way. If you're not already following me, I hope you decide to subscribe. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you soon.